Those are fantastic experiences. So maybe that would lead right into our next question. Obviously, you're from Italy, you're from Sicily, you have a lot of passion for Italian wines, but how do you go about picking your producers and the viticulture and the style of wines?
So I have really three criteria that I follow in picking both my producers and the wines that they make. First, with the producer, I like to work with people. I like to work with people whose family name is on the bottle, with whom, if there is ever a problem or an issue or an opportunity, you have a real person to, sit down with and work it out. And so today we work with virtually all the properties that I represent are second-generation wineries for us. I started working with them when the young people that are running the wineries today were children. In the case of Zenato, one of our leading wineries, Nadia Zenato was 7 years old when I started working with the winery, wearing knee-high white socks. And so today she's in charge of the winery. And that relationship has been ongoing. She was my first supplier at Vinitaly in 1980. So as you can imagine, those relationships are deep and they're based on a lot of contact, a lot of exchange. They're very meaningful to me. And I think also they are, quite frankly, better than any contract that we may have. I mean, we do have contracts, but this is the real contract, is the connection, is the relationship. In the case of Argiolas, Tasca, and Zardetto, we're actually working with the third generation.
Oh, my goodness.
And, for example, Filippo Zardetto, the youngest one, was at Winebow for 4 months getting a training in the import side of the wine business, stayed at my house the whole time, and really kind of got into the fabric of the company. And those are the kind of relationships that we have, the kind of business associations that I want to have. So first criteria is family-owned and operated wineries as opposed to wineries that are owned by insurance companies or banks or other anonymous enterprises. Another criteria that's very important to me is wines that have a sense of place, a sense of the grapes that they're made from, a sense of what the French call terroir. And, I encourage my winemakers not to be interfering too much, with what the grape is trying to tell us. A little bit of technology is okay, especially if the weather conditions are challenging, but otherwise, you really want to stay away from intervention. I'll give you an example. One way to make a wine cosmetically perfect is to filter it, because if you don't, then you may have sediment, which is harmless, but a lot of people don't know that, so it doesn't look, pretty in the bottle if you have flakes floating around, but it's a totally natural product of winemaking process. So if you filter that, you get rid of the sediment. The problem is that you also get rid of a lot of other good things that are in the wine, and the wine starts having central tendency, and one wine will taste pretty similar to the next one. And I prefer to explain maybe on the back label what sediment means and where it comes from, and invite people to put it on the side or decant the wine. And in exchange for that, they get 3 times as much flavor. So to me, there is really no bargaining here.
Sure.
It's all about the wine.
Absolutely.
And the other criteria that's very important is wines that over-deliver on the quality to price ratio. I am Italian. I go to Italy in my own language. I don't need an interpreter. I don't need a translator. I can argue with them in their own language, and I think in the end it's pretty effective in terms of negotiating the very best deals that we can, and those deals are passed on in the form of really attractive prices to consumers. So when I am in a restaurant or doing a wine dinner and somebody walks up to me and says, "Leonardo, I just had a bottle of your wine that I paid $20 for, and it tasted like a $30 or a $40 bottle," I feel like I've done my job properly.